Okay, take two. But my hair is a fucking mess. Anyway, it's like 2 a.m. right now. I've been trying to sleep for the last 3 hours, but I just can't. So let me just ease myself into this, because it's not like a sad video or anything like that. I just feel like while I'm feeling like this and while I have so many things kind of going around in my head, number one, it's good for me to get things off my chest, but number two, I mean, I'm just being honest. Like anybody, there's quite a lot of people that have commented on videos in the past saying that either they live here or they're going to move here or they're thinking about moving here, and I feel like although I do show the really great things about my new life here, I feel like when I'm kind of feeling like this, it's really important for me to be honest and upfront, because I like really pride myself on being an honest person. So I feel like if that's the case in my real life, then it should be translated here on YouTube. So let me just give you like a little update. So today is Friday, October 18th. So I have officially been in Korea for 9 weeks, 2 months. I got here on August 17th, and it just went so fast. Honestly, like when I think about it, the space of time between my graduation and me leaving was like 5 weeks. I can't believe I've been here almost twice as long as that. It just the thought of being at home is such a like distant and vivid memory at the same time, because I really made such a conscious effort those last few months I was at home to really like focus on everything and soak everything up that I could. But at the same time, my life here is so far removed from what was going on at home. I mean, 6 months ago, I was still a full-time student. I was doing a master's degree. I was like buried in a dissertation, lived in Scotland. Like it just could not be more different from my life now. So yeah, this weekend, there's not a whole lot going on. The Rugby World Cup final or semi-final or something is tomorrow. Not that big a rugby fan, but there's an expat bar here in Daegu, and my really good friend Danny, who's Northern Irish, is her partner's a Kiwi, so they're playing together tomorrow. So they're playing against each other tomorrow, so we're all going to go out and watch them play. I think it's going to be a laugh. But anyway, like beyond that, I feel like I should just kind of give you all an update. I don't feel like I've really spoken about what my life is like. I mean, I done the day in a life video. If you haven't seen it, I'll like put a card up somewhere. But I mean, I guess I was more like going through the motions of what my day was like. I haven't actually really spoke down and had a conversation per se. And I feel like that's really like how I started this channel, and how I kind of grew it was just like sitting and having kind of, open and honest conversations with people who are very nice to take the time to watch my videos. So I'm not editing this video. I'm just going to film it all in a oneer, because I don't want it to seem edited. I just want to have a conversation like I would have with one of my friends. I poured myself a glass of wine just in case. I mean, don't judge me, right? I know it's a pretty hefty glass of wine, but it's me we're talking about. I just thought if I like started to kind of clam up, I could just have a wee sip of wine and, you know, try and get my thoughts together. So I've been here for 9 weeks. I've been in this apartment for 8 weeks already. If you can tell by the background, the only thing I really changed was I put the coats from the living room back there, just because I've got a suitcase that's en route that I know I've talked about this suitcase for months, but for the attention of my brother, if you're watching this video, going to text me back so I can bloody get this suitcase sent next week, because it's starting to get really cold in Daegu. I mean, I say cold, it's still like 23, 24 degrees during the day, but at nighttime it's super, super cold. I haven't had my AC on in like 4 weeks, which is handy because the remote control ran out of batteries and it won't turn on anyway. But yeah, that's like an update on the weather, I guess. Life here is starting to become a lot more real, if you follow me. I guess for the first at least month anyway, the first kind of 3 or 4 weeks, that would be including the first week I was in Seoul, it was honestly just like I was on I was backpacking again. The kind of novelty of meeting so many new people, seeing new places, like observing new architecture. Even though I was working, it still felt like very much like a holiday. I would say kind of Chuseok week, which was, I think I finished work on September 9th. I would say that was kind of the week where things started to really sink in, like I'm actually tied down here. Not really, I mean, I could have like left my job if I wanted to, not that I wanted to at all, because my job is like probably one of the highlights of being here. But yeah, that was kind of the week where everything really started to sink in. My friend Fran came and stayed. I'm sure I've like mentioned it on some social platform. But when she left, I just had this like overwhelming sense of kind of loneliness. It was kind of I think I've talked about it in another video, but when I first moved to my university accommodation back when I was 19, I kind of built up the moving out of my house process in my head, and all I could imagine was like the feeling when my family left me there in St Andrews, and I just had this like overwhelming sense of not abandonment but just like empty and loneliness sort of thing. And when I was leaving New York to come here, I could kind of feel myself like psyching myself up in the same way. Obviously I'm 5 years older than I was then, and I'm like better equipped to deal with it. So I had a really bad bout of homesickness. The first, I would say like weeks 3 and 4 were definitely the hardest for me. Once I kind of overcame that and got my apartment really settled, and I really started to get into like the rhythm and flow of work and my schedule, and kind of making sure, I've talked about it already in the day in the life video again, sorry I keep referring to it, but just as like a referral point, because I think I uploaded that like a 3 weeks ago, a month ago now. I'm like getting up earlier in the morning, I'm like doing stuff for my website, or even if it's just like taking an extra 15 minutes in the morning to kind of blow dry my hair, put on some makeup, just like some time for me, so that I'm not waking up, rolling out of bed, jumping on the bus, and I'm straight into work. And I'm a teacher for 8 hours. Like I'm actually having a life outside of work that one doesn't revolve around alcohol, which is like really hard, especially here in Daegu, because the nightlife it's insane. Like if you like to party, you'll love being here, and don't get me wrong, like I love going out, I love having a good time, but for me the priority coming here was obviously to have a good time, right? But in moderation. But for those first 4 weeks that I was here, I had no moderation. We were out every single night. Like I couldn't have done it. I would have just totally burned myself out if I'd done that every night for the whole year. And I don't think I would have been able to stay more than a year had I done it every night. So I'm really glad that I've like scaled it back, and I'm actually having more of a balanced life. Yeah, more of a balanced life, as I say, while I'm sitting with a glass of wine on my own. I swear to God, things are better. So yeah, I feel like the homesickness I'm kind of getting over it, and the longer I'm here, obviously the more like strong bonds I'm building with the people that I met. My colleagues, it's really great. I already mentioned it a couple of weeks ago, but I think 6 of the 7 foreign teachers, me being foreign obviously here in Korea, we live in the same building, and then I have other friends in the building, so it's really quite fantastic to have such a kind of close and strong knit community of people here in the building. But on the same hand, like in the same breath, I guess, it's just like really making me miss my friends at home. And I just feel like there's quite a lot going on at home right now, and I have this kind of overwhelming sense of guilt that life's kind of passing me by at home, and I know it's not, and I know it's like very irrational to think it, but like I just wish I could be there for my friends, but I can't be. The way I'm kind of dealing with my homesickness is obviously my mum's in America. So for me, like the worst part about being here, and it's not even the worst part because I really have like come to terms with it for the most part. Obviously, like there's bits of my day where like I just want to hug off my mum sometimes, you know. I just want to have a laugh with my brother sometimes. I want to have a cup of tea with my friends. I want to go out with my friends, you know. And people are like getting engaged and people are having babies, and I feel like I'm missing absolutely everything. And it's just like, if I ever do go home, I'm going to go back and like everybody's going to have lived all these years of life, and I'm just going to be like, hi, remember me? I don't know. And that's just me, like that's obviously my anxiety talking, like thinking 5 years down the line, and kind of the fear of like being forgotten, I guess. But the longer I spend here, the more I kind of realise that I don't want to go home. And like I was about to say earlier, the kind of way I rationalise my homesickness is, if I was to go home, as in home back to Scotland, my mum still wouldn't be there. You know, my mum wouldn't be in the same place as me. So it doesn't matter kind of where I go, my family's not going to be complete. Whether I went to the States or whether I went to Scotland, there's always going to be someone missing. And it's really hard for me because on the one hand, I'm a very independent person and I love to be on my own and I like to see the world, but my family is so important to me. Well, my immediate family, my brother, my mother and my uncle, they're like the 3 most important people in my life. And it honestly is, it's hard for me every single day. Like I haven't spoken to my uncle since I left for Belfast, which was on August 4th. Like that even saying that out loud like honestly makes me want to cry. It's difficult for me not to see my family every day and get to hug them. And like I have a really funny family and they're a good laugh and we rip each other and we have a good time together, and I just love them to bits. And it's just sad to me that I don't know when the next time is that the 4 of us are going to get to be together again. Anyway, on a lighter note, one of the main let me just be honest, the main reason I came here was to travel, to like have the luxury of getting paid what I would be getting paid at home, but I get an apartment provided for me on top of it, and I get to live in South Korea and I have all my favourite places in the world just a couple of hours away, instead of being an entire day away travelling and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pounds away from me. So if you haven't watched my vlog already, I went to Tokyo 2 weekends ago. Oh my god, it was like, I don't know if I could say out loud like I've dreamed of going to Japan since I was a little girl, but definitely like through my kind of late teens, early 20s, it was somewhere that I was totally fixated on visiting. And then when I obviously went to do my degree at St Andrews, I specialised in Orientalist art and photography, and my master's dissertation was on, it was like a comparison of Japanese souvenir photography with North African. So I'm like, I don't want to say well versed, but I'm pretty well versed in at least the artistic history of Japan from like the late 17th century to today. I'm absolutely obsessed with it. I just think it's like the most fascinating country. It's a little bit difficult right now because there's a trade embargo going on between South Korea and Japan, so there's a lot of kind of bureaucratical things that make visiting a little bit more difficult, but on the other hand it made flights really cheap. So although it's not entirely PC to go right now, I went because I'm a foreigner basically. That's like not really a good excuse, but it's my excuse right now. I went for 3 days. I met the loveliest people, honestly, just like the nicest people. I was so like actually into the trip that I barely took any pictures, I barely filmed anything. I was just really just trying to soak it up, and I needed a reset button because I was just feeling like starting to feel a little bit burnt out by life here in Korea. So I went there. Then last weekend I went to Seoul. I've been to Busan, I've seen loads in Daegu now, and now I've wanted to do it for years, but finally I have managed to convince my mum to come and visit me in Asia. I have a week off in January. Well, actually I'm getting 10 days off. my mum's going to come to Thailand with me. I was like, oh, I'm so excited. My mum's never been to Asia, so we're going to go to Bangkok for 4 nights, Chiang Mai for 4 nights. Then she's going to fly home, and then I'm going to stay in Bangkok for the last 2 nights, probably just somewhere like near Khao San Road. I've been to Bangkok a good few times now, honestly, and I went to Chiang Mai the first time I ever went backpacking, which was like 4.5 years ago, 4 years ago. But both times I went before, I was on a super tight budget. So I've been saving for this trip. Didn't know where we were going to end up. We actually planned to go to San Francisco originally, but I've managed to convince her. So she's coming. So that I'm actually meeting her 3 months today. So I'm just so excited, and it's given me something to like really focus on and like work towards. Obviously I have Christmas Day off, but that's it. So I don't have any time to go home and see my family for Christmas, which is, it's sad, but getting to see my mum in such an amazing place and getting to see it all through her eyes kinda will just be amazing. Yeah, so I'm really excited about that trip. Other than that, there's not a whole lot going on. Honestly, it's interesting because I didn't feel, I love my job. I absolutely love it. I love my kids. I really do love them. They're so cute. They're so nice. They're so like in tune, and they're so witty. And I just love children. I love children. They're just the cutest things. And I love it. And it's such a rewarding job. In the beginning, I feel like most of my stress came from, I'm such a perfectionist. Most of my stress kind of came from like the timetabling aspect of stuff, like remembering to do certain things on certain days and where to start a lesson and stop a lesson and time management. But once I kind of got that under control, I would say it took me like 2 or 3 weeks. My poor co-teachers, I was in every day like, so what do I do this lesson? What do I do? But they all said it like takes a little while. So obviously everybody's been in that boat at some point. So everybody was like super understanding. But now there's like a different level of stress where I never thought you're so active, you're on your feet all day and you're like running around and you're marking, and some of the kids are like 6 years old, so you have to be like super energetic to keep them motivated and to keep them interested, and it's so much fun. But by the end of the day, I am so tired. And then I have a very balanced mixture of levels. So I have every single level that we teach basically in my particular like how do you call it? So I work for Changnam, which is like a huge corporation, and I think there's 11 levels, and I teach 9 of them. I teach 8 of them. I teach 8 levels of the 11, from the very lowest to the 8th, and I teach every level in between. So on the one end, like the little kids, you need so much energy, which is like draining in one way, and then on the other end, the kids, you're dealing with like really sensitive topics sometimes. Like you're dealing with, like, I was talking about racism today, and other days, like it's challenging in a different way, because you have to be super conscious of the fact that these kids are going to go home and their parents are going to say, well, what did you learn about today, and what did your teacher say about it? And yeah, you have to be very mindful of how you're wording things, and there's always the kind of risk that things could get lost in translation, so you have to be like even more hyper aware of what you're saying. And for me, like the most important part is like, I'm trying to teach these children to be like well-rounded individuals. Obviously them learning English is super important, but I would so much rather like a child remembered me for kind of teaching them something about life rather than like how to spell a word, you know? It's obviously very important, but for me it's like not the most important thing. So yeah, it's like more like intellectually challenging, which is something I was not expecting to have to deal with here. But do you know what, it's good, because I think if I wasn't like stimulated in that way, I would maybe get a little bit bored. So I guess I'm going to round off this absolute rant of a video by saying I got a phone contract, a 24-month one. So I am going to be here in Korea for at least the next 2 years, which is pretty, oh my god, my stomach just done a little flip saying that out loud. But yeah, I am so happy with my job, and my manager's amazing, my co-workers are amazing, my apartment's amazing, it's so easy to get to work. The city of Daegu is amazing, the people I live with are amazing. I'm so close and I'm so able to travel. It's letting me save in a way that I would not be able to save the amount that I'm saving right now at home. I can actually do an entire video. Obviously, I can't give like specifics of what I'm earning and saving, but I could definitely do like a percentage. Disposable income is like quadruple what it is at home, honestly. And then my apartment is part of my contract, so there, in electricity, I think I've paid 23,000 won, which is £16 since I got here, and I've been here in this apartment for 8 weeks. So I can do like an entire video on the kind of financial side of living in South Korea if anybody's interested in that at all. But my quality of life here is so much higher than it would be at home. So much higher. And it's afforded me the ability to travel, not only financially, but it's afforded me the ability to travel to the places that I'm actually passionate about traveling to. So yeah, I guess to round it up, things are going really quite good. So I think that's me for my 22-minute rant. I'm really sorry if you've made it to the end of this video. I really appreciate it. If you're not already subscribed to this channel, then I would really appreciate it. Usually I post travel content. I promise I'm not always like a door-faced cow ranting and raving for a third of an hour on end. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.